Y'all already know what it is, what it is, what it is. Back at it tonight, man. It's Friday. It is Friday. Tonight, we're gonna get the sports talk cracking. I got my man Ringo in the building right now. He moving around, but glad he hit a politic with me again on a Friday night. Ringo, what up?
Ain't nothing much. How you feeling? And thanks for the invite again.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Listen, sports. There's a lot of shit going on, but I tried to pick out some of the most interesting things that stuck out to me this week. And some of the stuff that stuck out to me this week was dope. So Angel Reese gets a lot of flack. She gets a lot of flack for her style of play, for the whole. I really just think, and this is just my opinion, but from what I've seen, a lot of people really don't like her because of the rivalry with Caitlin Clark. So Angel Reese has been in the league for 2 years. We know about the stories with the Chicago Sky and their front office and the way that they move and how they literally just, the front office is trash. I'm not gonna flex to you between the trades and the culture and the players that they consistently losing players year after year. Angel Reese has said that she's done. She has a contract. She doesn't want to leave, but it's coming down to it now that she wants to win a ring. She wants to compete. She wants to win games. She's not with sitting on the sidelines and winning 6-7 games a year and all of this. Here's my take on it. I believe that if you give her some supporting cast, truly a point guard, they need a point guard that can actually lead the offense, that can actually play. The Sky might actually be pretty good. But it's easier said than done when you've traded away all your picks, just about. Nobody really wants to come to Chicago. And again, when you have a culture and your name is in the news and all of these things in the news, that it makes it hard. It makes it hard to want to play in Chicago. Ringo, what's your take on this, man?
I agree with everything that you say, and I think the crazy part is for all of the flack that she gets, I just think it's just a bunch of silly ass people complaining about her game. I mean, Dennis Rodman didn't have a pretty game.
Yep.
Draymond Green definitely doesn't have a pretty game. So it's just like, what is the real issue? You know what I mean with her game? She's leading the league in rebounding. So what really is the issue? I could see if she was a high draft pick. I believe she was number 7.
Yeah.
The 7th pick. And so I'm like, if she wasn't doing anything, living up to that number 7 pick, I could see all of the flack. But leading the league and rebounding and all this other stuff over Aja Wilson, Nafisa Collier, and Peely and a couple other people. So again, what is the issue? I just think that because she's outspoken and she's a rookie, they have an issue with her. And the
Well,
WNBA, their leadership style is shit.
yeah. Last year when she vented that, the way that she did, and she spoke on how She didn't believe that they had enough talent on that team to compete, and she wasn't lying. And they ended up suspending her, and she didn't play another game for the rest of the season. They went 10-34 last year. Okay. The thing about it is they have the number 5 pick in this draft. Is that good enough to get them someone? Maybe. They have the money to spend, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody is really beating down the door to come play in Chicago. I think the way that they fired Teresa Weatherspoon 2 years ago, a year ago, was wrong also. The public feuds, the way that they moved is, if I'm a free agent, I'm not looking at Chicago unless I'm there to get a paycheck. I'm not looking at Chicago as somewhere. And so you're not going to get the top talent to come there and play because of the way that the shit looks. She is arguably the best rebound in the league. Okay? But she is on a rookie contract until next year, if there is a season. Okay, so again, you gotta you have to look at it as, who can they realistically go and get? Okay, who can they go and get? I don't think the Sky competing this year. I just don't see it. I think maybe 2-3 years from now, maybe, but I don't think they're gonna compete this year. And I think that's where you gotta, if I'm Angel Reese, I gotta start looking at like, okay, I got maybe another year in this situation, and then I got a choice to move around and look around. Now, here's the topic that I really was waiting to jump on. Okay, so Fred VanVleet recently revealed that during the 2019 Raptors run, Kawhi Leonard wasn't just confident, he was arrogant. Fred VanVleet said Kawhi told teammates that he's better than Kobe ever was. Watch. This debate isn't about career, right? This is about peak performance. Okay, specifically 2019 Kawhi, and we could do 2008 to 2010 Kobe, right? And when I was trying to tell people about this yesterday, I was like, yo, the numbers aren't that far off. Kawhi Leonard in the 2019 playoffs, he put up 39-3, 49, 38, 88% shooting splits. Okay? He single-handedly destroyed the Warriors dynasty. He did that. And people can argue that KD, but you didn't need KD to beat Kawhi. You had Steph. That should have been enough. I hate when people say, oh, well, KD was out. Why do you need KD to beat Kawhi? That speaks on that too, because I hear that argument. Oh, well, the KD and Clay missed the game. Why do you need all that just to beat Kawhi? He was arguably the best two-way play in history for that 2-month stretch. You can argue Scotty and everybody else. Efficiency, he was a robot. He didn't take bad shots. He just got buckets. That whole playoffs, he just got buckets. Now, Kobe in the 2009 to 2010 playoffs, Kobe averaged 36 and 5. He won back-to-back without Shaq. Okay? He beat the Celtics. They beat him once. He beat the Celtics the next year. Everybody considers the Celtics a super team. All right, difficulty and volume. Kobe took harder shots. They could say he played in a slower era, and he had that fear factor that terrified opponents mentally. Ringo, what's your take? I think. What's your take on this? I can't hear you there. And I'm not arguing about I'm not saying Kawhi is a better all-time player than Kobe. I will never say that. Kobe has a better career. There's no debate on that. Kobe has had in my mind, Kobe is top 10 to me. Like all time. He's top 10. He's on my list. Kawhi to me is not that far behind. He's a top 75 player all time. So that's there. You got to look at it like I told people offensively, Kawhi is not that far behind Kobe as far as skill, as far as being clutch, as far as getting to the basket, as far as getting buckets. He's not that far off. Defensively, Kawhi is a better defender than Kobe, and than Kobe was. And I stand on that. He's a better defender than Kobe. We can go back and forth about it all day, but the numbers don't lie. Back-to-back defensive player of the year. Kobe has never won a defensive player of the year. So can't even structure that, when you go from, if you comparing, like I said, if you comparing they prime playoff years, right? 2019 for Kawhi, 2009 for Kobe, they both averaged 30 a game. Kawhi averaged 9 rebounds, Kobe averaged 5. Kobe averaged 5 assists, Kawhi averaged 3. They both averaged 1 steal a game. Field goal, Kawhi was 49% from the field in the entire playoff. 49%. 37% from 3. Okay? Kobe was 45% and 34%. All right. Now, if you look at the paper, Kawhi wins. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. As far as that year, if you're going Kobe's best playoff years, Kawhi's best playoff year, Kawhi wins that. But overall, I will never get on here and say Kawhi was a better player. I mean, he was a better all-time player than Kobe. You'll never hear me say that. But that year, prime year 2019, he makes a case. I don't know if Fred VanVleet was reaching or if he was just trying to get clickbait because he's sitting on the bench all year. I don't know. All right, but you got to think about it. Kobe made and took impossible shots. He broke your team's spirit. Like if you were playing against Kobe, he broke your spirit. All right, when Kobe had the ball, other teams panicked. He demanded double teams at half court. These are facts. I'm not taking away. Kobe averaged 5 assists in the triangle offense. And in that, they don't really want you to get assists. Okay? He was a better passer than Kawhi. Kawhi hands down. It's neither one of them passed the fucking ball, though. But Kawhi, though, you got to understand at one point before this season, Kawhi Leonard was the most winningest player in NBA history. All right, he ended the Warriors. He ended the process with the Sixers, trust in the process. He ended them with 1 shot. All right. In the Eastern Conference Finals, Kawhi stepped up on Giannis and held the MVP that year to 35% shooting while guarding him. So not only was he doing what he was doing on the offense, he was shutting motherfuckers down on defense. Okay? Kobe was a first team all defense, but he wasn't shutting down the other team's star. Okay? He wasn't shutting down the other team's best big man like Kawhi did. I'm just calling facts, man. Spade is a spade. Kawhi is the only player in the last 20 years to have a mid-range percentage as high as Kobe's peak. He literally studied Kobe's footwork and removed the extra moves. I guess you could say Kobe is the remix because he got that shit from Mike, and Kawhi is the remaster. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Kawhi played 24 games in the playoffs in 2019 on one good leg. Kobe played the 2009, 2010 with broken fingers and drained knees. Availability is a skill. All right. The crowd is gonna tell y'all Kobe all day, all day. The logic, the hot take is gonna tell you Kawhi Leonard was more efficient. He was better defending. He was a better rebounding version of Kobe. All right. If you needed to win one game to save your life, you take the robot who did miss. Like the nigga shot, like I said, the nigga shot 49% from the field. So if you want to win, then shit, you give it to the cyborg and you let him work. Now, they're gonna tell you, the Kobe fans are gonna tell you efficiency don't matter. Kobe faced tougher defenses. He played in the slower era, and he didn't load manage. I could see that. If you're not gonna go wrong with either way. You know, they're gonna say Kawhi did it for 2 months, Kobe did it for a decade. Cool. I'm not arguing that Kobe was a better player all time. Nobody's gonna argue that. But what I hate is this stigma when they get on you and they say fucking it's a gap. It's not close. It actually isn't a gap. You can talk about how he don't play and how he ain't on the floor and all that shit. You could talk about all that. You could say that. But I just think people that don't watch, they don't really watch. They just go off the name. They just go off their favorite player. They just go off, you know what I'm saying? They don't really watch the game. Go study Kobe. Go study Kobe footwork, which he got from Mike, and then go study Kawhi footwork, which he may have and may not have studied Mike. And look, it's very similar. You know what I'm saying? They're both very similar skill. Kawhi is a 3-score level scorer. Kobe is a three level scorer. So it ain't that hard to figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, I be getting into it with people, and I just be like, yo, y'all be arguing over feelings. Like, you have to study this shit. You know what I'm saying? Study this shit in the right way. All right. Let's talk NFL, right? It comes down to a very key week this week. But right now, we know that the number 1 and the number 2 seed is the Broncos and the Patriots. All right. The Kansas City Chiefs, finally, they're eliminated. I can't say I'm unsad about that. I am glad that for the first time, we're going to see someone else compete in AFC. I think the NFL, they tried their best to get Kansas City to the playoffs, and it just didn't work. So good riddance to them. I think the NFL, it's now more, it's wide open, because I've said for years that the NFC was wide open. It was easier to do something in the NFC than it was in the AFC. That's why the NFC doesn't have a legit threat that goes every year, because it's an easier conference. Over here, you had the refs and you had the Swifties and you had everything else. So they were going to make sure that Kansas City won. Now, I don't believe in any of these teams in the AFC. I think the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl this year, unless the Baltimore Ravens or my team, unless they come out and, you know, win the AFC, which I believe they can still with this development. The Denver Broncos, I do not believe in them. Okay? They're boring. They play defensive football. Bo Nix is a game manager. He's not someone that you can tell to go out there and win us the game. He's a game manager. He's just telling, don't lose the game. Okay? The doubt comes from me for the Denver Broncos. They haven't beat a real contender in a month. You know, the last time I seen a a team that I did not believe in as the number one seed was the 2021 Titans. The New England Patriots, I think the Patriots, I don't believe in them either. They're another team that hasn't played anybody. Okay? Drake May is looking like the real deal. Can't front. They are young. I do not trust the sophomore quarterback in January. If you are a Patriots fan, do you really think you trust your team to win a Super Bowl this year? Maybe, maybe not. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence finally looks like the number one pick. I had this conversation, and I think it was, I forgot. It was some quarterbacks. And I said that Trevor Lawrence was the best quarterback out of those four quarterbacks. I know it was Trevor Lawrence. I know it was Caleb Williams. It was the last four number one pick quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young. Was it Bryce Young? No, it was Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Titans. And I said that Trevor Lawrence was the best quarterback, and he's proven me right this year. I don't know if he'll continue to look, because that list can change, but he's looking like the best quarterback. He finally looks stable. He's finally moving the ball. He's healthy. And the Jaguars are 10-4. I still don't believe in them, though. And, you know, the number 4 seed right now is a team that I really can't stand. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them. I'm just going to keep it a buck. The Steelers, they have no offense, and they can hoot and holler. They can hoot and holler all they want, you know. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them. I believe in my Ravens. We dropped a lot of games. I believe that, like I said earlier, this is the best year for the quarterbacks that have not won a game, that have not won a Super Bowl. This is the best year for them. Okay. If we don't get it this year, this is the year to do it. Josh Allen, the Bills, I don't believe in them. Okay. I don't believe in them. I'm not going to sit here and act like it. Again, you're looking at teams that haven't really beaten anybody. They beat us, true enough, but I think that happened more so on the defense than it did with anything else. I just think that as far as I'm concerned, this is the year. Like, if you don't have I think if you don't have everything that you're supposed to have this year, this is the time. You know, this is the time that you run for it. And I think that's what makes everything wide open in the AFC. And it's going to be interesting because a lot of teams are going to get upset. A lot of teams are going to get upset, and you aren't going to know which way to do it. And the last topic of the night before I jump up off of here, the Dodgers. I truly believe the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I'll tell you why the Dodgers are ruining baseball. Because everybody in the world, and I argue with people about this, the Dodgers, they spend $1 billion damn near every year to win. So it's like you don't have no excuses. You know what I'm saying? You don't have no excuses. All right. They broke in the calculator. They just signed Edwin Diaz, 3 years, $69 million, but most of that is deferred, meaning they don't have to pay that shit until further down the line. Okay. That's $1 million they got in deferred contracts. $1 billion. Okay. His contract defers 90% of the money. He gets paid the bulk of this contract starting in 2047. He joins the deferred club of Otana, Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, Blake Snell. These are all the guys that they are paying down the line. They're not even legitimately. I wish baseball did have a salary cap because this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If we really gonna be honest about it, it's bullshit. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it and act like, this ain't a problem. When you spending all this fucking money, you are expected to win. You're not expected to just, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, look, that was an exciting World Series. That was an exciting World Series. 1.2 billion of that money is deferred. Okay. We all know that Otana's contract is $680 million deferred. Okay. But they didn't stop there. They are now using this for role players and relievers. You know what I'm saying? Between 2038 and 2044, the Dodgers will owe roughly 100 million players, 100 million per year to players who are likely be retired. Okay? The luxury tax, by deferring money 20 years, right? Let me tell you why I consider this shit cheating. The Dodgers lower their tax hit today, allowing them to sign more players like Diaz right now. You know what I'm saying? The small market teams can't do this shit. The Pirates can't do this shit. So when they talk about, they teams, they got money, and the Pirates can't do this shit. The Royals can't do this shit. All right, they don't have enough cash in the bank to promise $100 million in the year of 2045. So it's creating two different leagues. $1 million today is worth more than $1 million in 2047. The Dodgers are technically playing these guys less by waiting. This shit is unfair. All right, the Dodgers are taking the cash that they didn't pay Otona today and invested in it, making them more money, making enough profit to pay him later, basically for free. It's legal. All right, it's legal. And the CBA, I'm pretty sure the next time that they sit down and negotiate this shit, they're going to fix this shit because there's no way. Yeah, they're definitely going to fix this. This is going to be a problem. And for the Dodger fans, you're going to look like, oh, no, this is not a problem. This is not a problem. Blah, blah, blah. Y'all could have been stopped at this. We laughed at the Mets with the Bobby Manola contract. The Mets are paying Bobby Manola $1 million a year. The Dodgers will be paying Otona $68 million a year when he is 50 years old. This isn't a holiday. That's a payroll crisis. $68 million a year. Jesus. I respect the hustle. I'm not a hater. I wish my Cubs did some shit like this, but I wish the Cubs did some shit like this. It'll suck in 2040 because they are broke. The Dodgers are trying to win today. They might have 5 rings by then. The way the Dodgers have a lineup, they might have 20 rings. There might not be another champion for the next 10 years because the Dodgers are playing an unfair system. They're playing a game. The Dodgers are playing a deadly game, and they're going to get away with it because it's legal. You know what I'm saying? It's legal. It's legal. I think, like I said, when you have a lot of money and you're doing deferred contracts and shit, it makes it pretty hard for other teams to come in and be like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go get him. Let's go get them because, the Dodgers are getting it. The Dodgers can offer fake money. They can offer higher total numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, look at the Twins. Look at the Brewers. If the Twins and the Brewers wanted Edwin Diaz, they would have to pay him $20 million a year in cash right now. They can't afford that. The Dodgers offer $23 million a year, but don't pay it until 2047. Like that shit irritates me. You know what I'm saying? The cash poor teams can never win a bidding war again. You can't win. The floor for a good player just went up. But the small markets, they don't get richer. The old Yankees, George Steinbrenner, he would pay that. He would pay the luxury tax penalty You know what I'm saying? They spent real cash. Back in them days, the Yankees spent real cash. They spent real money. You know what I'm saying? It was arrogant, but it was honest. Steinbrenner paid the fine and went on about his business. Shit the Dodgers doing is not honest to me. I just think that shit's goofy to me. They are finding a loophole to spend $400 million while they are being taxed only $250 million, which is not bad. You know, the Yankees and the Dodgers, they should be furious. I would be too. You know, they have the money to compete, but they feel like the Dodgers are cheating the spirit of the cap, which I agree with. You know, the new CBA expires soon. And I think the deferred money loophole will be something that they will fix. They're not going to let that. They're not going to pass the CBA. They're not going to let that pass. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going to, you know, I think I would ask for a cap on deferred money. I'm not going to hold you. You can only defer 20% because other than that, that shit's just ridiculous. A lot of players love deferred money because it guarantees them massive checks for life. You know, the Dodgers aren't just winning games. They are causing the next baseball strike. And don't be surprised if you see it. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference of money and that's being spent when you look at the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees, and then you look at the Pirates, the Rays, and the Marlins. You know what I'm saying? If you're a fan of Tampa Bay, you know that any star you draft is just auditioning to be a Dodger in 6 years. You know what I'm saying? All the minor league teams, they are a farm system for the Dodgers at this point. You know, if you're a fan of the Reds, the Guardians, or the Rockies, I don't know what to tell you. All right, the Dodgers have turned MLB into a video game with the cap off. You know how this shit go. You know what I'm saying? You aren't playing in the same spot. They're playing Monopoly with future money, and they're trying to pay rent with cash. It's smart business, but it does suck for the other 29 teams. So I think, you know, you got Dodger fans out here true to their heart, and they going crazy. Oh, we're doing this, and we're going to win. And I mean, shit, with all the contracts you got, we expect you to win. Anything less than a World Series win is a disappointment because you spent all that money. So, you know, you spent all that money to win. But listen, I don't know. We'll find out next time on what they doing and how they do it. And then, you know, we'll go from there. Y'all already know what it is, man. I just wanted to get on here for a second. I'll pop back out. Y'all already know what it is. I'm out.